This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Lock her up. Class, I just posted a couple seconds before the broadcast something that was not quite complimentary about her. And I just got disconnected. Right after I posted. It took like maybe a minute. So here I am on Plan B. So the quality is not quite as good, but we're live. And everyone all set, cocked, locked, and everybody must be in a good mood that listens to this broadcast because she is not going to be in the Oval Office, and I hope that some of the performers and the Hollywood ilk choke on their words. I hope they do, and I'm looking forward to the movement of people out of this country who have caused us so many problems and who have supported her. And I said before that anyone who supports her, Barry, the vacationer, the golfer, anyone who supports them is not a friend of ours. Actually, is an enemy of ours. So, class, if you'd like to call us, 866-582-9933, 866-582-9933. And I'm not sure if the listen line is working. I can't test it right this moment. But if it is up and running, it's 605-477-3249, 605-477-3249. Dr. Richard Allen Miller is with us. Welcome, Rick.
Hey, Vincent, it's nice to be back with you. It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, where you been?
Yeah, that's right. By location, here and there.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Are you okay? Everything good?
Yeah. I had I wanted to go to my high school reunion, so I decided to head out that way, and we got stranded. So I got a chance to see what it'd be like living in a car for a couple of days with Mrs. Finelli, and it wasn't all that bad. It wasn't all that bad.
That's what they call it.
But here's what I learned. We were stuck at a place called Maryland House. It's between the north and southbound lanes of Interstate 95. It's a rest stop. They've got gas pumps and tractor trailers come in there, and so the smell and the pollution is just over the top. And I got a chance to see a lot of things that I didn't like. I got a chance to see me first. I got a chance to see how people drive right through stop signs, right in the parking lot. You come off the exit ramp and go into this travel stop, and the stop sign right there, and it's an intersection, and cars just plow right through it. And so we were just watching this, thinking there's got to be a lot of accidents here. We didn't see any, but we also saw people who were stranded as we were, and no one was willing to help them either. So kind of interesting how I had a chance to see just a small taste of what it's going to be like as we spiral down. But I did get a chance to see the sunshine yesterday, and I drove. I was in the vehicle going towards Springfield with Mrs. Finelli and our son and my mom, and I got a chance to see the sun shining, and it was really kind of nice. And I felt, I mentioned to Mrs. Finelli and my mom and our son that I have this feeling that the oppression has been somewhat lifted, because I thought that Hillary would drive us right into World War III, pushing, nudging, causing problems with Vladimir Putin and Russia. and it looks like Donald Trump is considered to be a nice guy, and I didn't see him beat up Vladimir Putin during the alleged debates. He said, "I don't know." I'm paraphrasing. He said, "I don't know him. I'd like to know him." He didn't say, "Yeah, he's a bad guy," because we don't know that, do we? Do we know that he's a bad guy? I think I'd rather have someone who would avoid World War III rather than rush us right into it.
Well, there's all roads lead to Rome. Good luck with this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, anybody that would want to be president has got to screw loose anyway, right out of the gate. And, watch how everyone ages when they take that job.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you notice it. And the only one I can't get was Carter. I mean, he was a physicist. Why would he want to even, I don't get it. And Trump, I think that Hillary was in, and what happened was the email busted her as a pedophile, and they're about to do her. And as such, they switched to the different camp with Trump. If you look at the state of Oregon and how the voting went, it's really amazing. There's a little tiny dot in there, red, that's all Hillary's votes, carried the state, and the rest of the state, which is blue, Trump. Well, how does that work? Does that mean that 90% of the state of Oregon lives in Portland? I don't think so. And that is across the board everywhere. And when you look at the so-called electoral college thing we were talking about earlier, and the way they gerrymander the districts, that's an AI. And they do pattern recognition and facial recognition to pin it down cold. And they can swing it any way they want. And the bad news is, I think the one percenters are being played by something. Mm-hmm. This isn't right. And there isn't any way to vet it.
Rick, I did not vote in the presidential election. And so I didn't really want to say it publicly or too publicly. I kind of hinted around that. And the reason that I did not vote is I refused to participate in the charade. And I happened to be in the waiting room at an appointment at a routine checkup for a family member, not me. And so I was in the waiting room, and I was talking to this man, probably about my age. And he told me that he was a missionary, and he traveled around, and he traveled to Kenya, and he got a chance to see a lot of desperation throughout the world. And we were talking about the election. And I said I did not vote for the very first time in my adult life. I did not vote for president. I did not vote. And his immediate reaction was, and I'm going to give you the quote. I still don't know quite what it means, but he said, "I'm ashamed." I mean, he blurted out that he's ashamed. And I think he was saying that he was ashamed of my behavior. And I said, why? Why would you be ashamed of me not voting? And he said, it's like, it's un-American to not vote. And I said, he didn't say those words, but it was like that was
un-American.
That was the message. And I said, my vote doesn't count. And I said, neither does yours, and neither does your wife's vote count. And the proof of it is that if you looked at the results of what the media said, the results of that poll, the results of the poll, Hillary won. Hillary won the popular poll
vote, not the electoral college. That's how they gerrymander. And my guess is that she was in for the take and was going to win until that email came out, and they had to switch Plan B.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not the only one. You're not the only one that feels that way. I do too. And I got a call from Europe, and we may get a call from Europe during this broadcast. So, John, our engineer, I just want to mention I do not have any internet access right now. No internet, so I can't use the the call screen to put anyone on the air. I can't see it because it's not up because the internet is down here. So if we get a call, please let us know, and you'll have to put the call on for us, or calls. So I actually feel better about the election. I was really bummed out, and I was trying to figure out what would I say if Hillary were selected to be the CEO.
Kicked off the air.
Well, I wouldn't have to say much, right?
Yeah.
I might even get a chance to say, "See ya, I'm out of here." And that would be the 8th time. That would be the 8th time.
Well, you already are being kicked off the air. That internet thing is nonsense. And they are doing this to everybody. I have watched how Google and Amazon, this is craziness that's going on with these artificial intelligent computers. The AIs are dominating everything now. And I don't think anybody gets how deadly this is. It's way, way more dangerous than radiation. And, you know, here we are in the 1940s, and we just dropped a bomb, and now we've got to set policy. And guess what? The artificial AIs are way more dangerous than anything nuclear, and with Fukushima and the rest of it. There's a thing that comes in I get called Futurism every day on artificial intelligent computers, and you will not believe what they're doing now. They can pattern recognition, for example. They can lip read better than a human being can. That means they can lip read while you're walking. They don't have to listen to your telephone or a phone.
Okay,
it goes on and on.
Let's connect another dot. So here in our little village in the middle of nowhere in Missouri, and you've been to our little village, and if you go to participate in the alleged voting for president, you'll see when you walk in that they've got these iPads, and the people all know who we are. They know my mom, and they know our family. And they say, okay, your name? Like, really? And then you have to prove who you are. And they've got you on the voter registration iPad. And they click it, and okay, so now you're registered. You are time-stamped when you come in. Then you fill out this multiple choice questionnaire as to who you would like if you had a choice. And they know who you are and when you're there. So they can connect the dots as to how you vote.
Class. So we're back. We're back on high-speed digital, and I was wondering what the heck could I have said on the internet that would have caused us to get knocked off the air just like a minute before broadcast time. And I was connected, and so I'll read it to you. It's very short. It's a post on Facebook. It says, right now at 9 a.m. Central Time, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Doc Ram. We're going to be talking about Doctor Strange, the Mandela effect, chemtrails and blood types. She's an alleged pervert. Young girls, it's way worse than we've been told. And that's all I put. I guess it's the part about me saying she's an alleged pervert. Maybe that's what did it. Dr. Richard Allen Miller, she's an alleged pervert. What's the story on that?
You mean Hillary Clinton? I don't know. I just reading the latest on the emails, and FBI are going after her now again, and that's probably why she didn't win, and they changed to Plan B. That's my guess. Mm-hmm. Because she, is about to be busted, so you can't have your brand new president going to jail right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I know that those people are practicing forms of magic that are creepy. I have been studying this since the 60s. I went to Rosecroy, and I went to Ojai, the Theosophical Society. I even studied with Krishnamurti on Orcas Island in Vallejo. And I have a background in the occult that is unparalleled. And when I say that, it really is a knowledge base as deep as my agriculture and my physics. And really, at this moment in time, it's necessary. And I'm about to come out of the closet, and I am strongly recommending everybody see the new movie, Doctor Strange. There he is with his Eye of Agamotto. My robe, like his, came from Golden Dawn. I have Samuel McGregor Mather's robe. It was 6 foot, and the thing fits me perfectly. And it was given to me in 1971. Now, I have a legacy to follow here in terms of stopping some of this nonsense. You know, there's things going on that you can't see. And we talk about them, you know, behind closed doors, that kind of thing. There's other things going on, like poltergeist and, you know, the paranormal things that we study. This is why I studied it. This is why I studied the dark arts, what they call the dark arts, because I wanted to understand what was real and what was nonsense. And there's the energy used in pedophile as a ritual is almost as strong or more than voodoo with blood. And, you know, the Transylvania were bathing in blood in some centuries because they felt it would vitalize the body. And really, when you start to think about the kinds of creepy thoughts that you have when you go sideways, that is how the world turns. And we are creating our own thing, reality, and these individuals, they can't be human because they're creating something that I don't even understand, and I'm as good as it gets. And so I'm at war on a whole nother level that I'm declaring war. And most of these people, like the Republican Party, have lodges, inner lodges, secret handshakes, grips, whatever, that identify an individual by the way they grab your hand. And I have to tell you, I studied it all. It's mostly nonsense, and there is some real things within it that absolutely do work. For example, voodoo. Voodoo is you doing yourself, like a demon. A demon can't get you, but they can make you get yourself. And they can make you do something that will hurt yourself because you want to.
Rick, can we come back? Let's talk about Skull and Bones and secret societies.
Yeah, imagine that, yeah.
You know, G.W. Bush said
there's a lot more than that going on with Supreme Court, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that when we come back. Some of the members and what it's all about. Doc Ram's with us, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. Doc Ram. Class Doc Ram is with us. DocRam.com, DocRam.com. Miles is joining us from Europe. Miles, it's such a treat to hear your voice. Welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Doc. How are you doing? Good morning, class. Hope you're doing well.
I'm good. Thank you.
So why am I calling in? We had a conversation yesterday going on shortly after the election was published. And I want to give you the European view on that and a little bit of background to what happened. Isn't it surprising that although somebody is winning in the polls for more than a year, being ahead of everybody and being put into the feeling and situation that everything is good, everybody supports you, and then 10 days prior to the final polling, all goes down. That reminds me here, from my point of perspective, of a typical Roman Empire setup. What happened? That you have somebody running with the entire network running full steam, and then taking them out in the final step of the way, in order to take the entire network down and then replace them, because somebody in Washington was getting too influential and they need a replacement.
Fascinating. So you're saying, I believe you're saying that even she was blindsided.
even she was blindsided. It kind of reminded me of one of my mentors who told me in a similar situation in a military environment, where he said, "Hoc est digitus Dei." This is the finger of God, and so it is more than meets the eye. The interesting part now on what is happening is that 9 days prior to the final polling, the stock markets went down 9 consecutive days. This made history. It never happened before. So even the markets prepared for a takeover of the candidates, and we're showing that in the sliding down of all the indices that were available, including the European ones. And if you look at the bond market had a huge sell-off directly right in the morning in the European morning after the elections. The European morning was like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning when the so-called final TV result was given out and Trump had its speech. And that instant, there were bonds cleared in Europe and in America, in Brussels, in the billions, like you've never seen before. So somebody is preparing the stage for Donald Trump to come in as the one who is to take the blame for the economic disaster. And the European news are painting exactly that. He is the Antichrist. He is a guy who has no tolerance. All the immigration is that already has been so successfully done here with the new neighbors that we received here, and we are to receive 70 million new neighbors until the year 2020, and 120 million until the year 2020. That is a contractual agreement already. So we're going to see how that will develop now. Vince?
As you say that, I was thinking. So, what are the Europeans thinking about having these new neighbors come in mass?
Germany has the largest issues with France. They have the highest population of North Africans coming in, including the Black Africans, and there are no-go zones in Germany where even the police doesn't go in there unless they use a SWAT kind of setup in order to get things accomplished. This is the beginning. This is just the beginning. We are talking about 1.9 million refugees, our new neighbors, being integrated since 2014. And this is not the peak. The European Commissioner for Integration and Immigration has the task to integrate 70 million new inhabitants until 2025. And Hillary Clinton signed the papers for 120 million until 2020 or 2025. So that was already a done deal. And that comes in addition to that, what you have going on with the Mexican border.
I think about the cultures, and I think about what a drastic change there can be in cultures. And I'm just looking at a little microcosm here in our neck of the woods where we have the Amish moving in. Just a small percentage. And they're already changing the culture. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying they're changing it. And I don't know. I don't know if I like it or not. So that's what we're seeing. Do I like the change? No, I don't like the change. If it's better, that'd be wonderful. But it's a change, and it's coming. And it's with a small percentage.
What's happening right now happened all over the times, all over the places. You can start with the Crusades, where the Crusades were undertaken in order to conquer new lands. And the Turkish, the Ottoman Empire army came up to Vienna. Vienna was the part where the greatest battle was going on back then. And they were defeated and they were pushed back. But if you think about one thing, the Catholic Church is a state as well. It's called the Vatican. So wherever you have a church, it's a representation of a government, of a state. If you tell me that America is founded on Christian foundations, that means that there is a state within the state that makes the rules. And I kind of agree with that, because there is an archbishop and a metropolite, and in several regions in America that actually do the rules. So bring that back to the new neighbors. You have Muslim immigrants that are not bound to any kind of nation. They're not bound to any kind of state or government. They're only bound to their Sharia, to the laws of the religion. And the conflict will become hotter the more people come here, because Islam spreads peacefully until a certain threshold is reached, and that threshold now in certain German cities is reached. So what you see now is that they have more self-esteem, and they're walking around in groups, and they have the Sharia police walking, and when they see a girl that is not wearing a headscarf, they're beating her up. So this is already happening. And what can the police do? Nothing, because no statute applies to a higher law under religion. They cannot do anything. So several European countries have the situation that there's death and murder, and they cannot prosecute them because whenever somebody stays in front of a judge, he tells the judge, God told me to do that. I was a tool of God. And out he goes. That is the situation, Vince.
Wow. Rick, you have any comments?
No, I saw it coming when I watched the movie Inside the Cartel. The way the Mexicans are coming across our border down in Arizona and New Mexico. It's and I spent last night. I was visiting a friend up in the middle of a mountain somewhere. He's an old hippie Navajo that used to hang out and do the dance, and he said that the whole thing is about taking control of everything. I'm speechless. I am being prepared for a type of battle that you guys probably will never really understand. It's not a physical thing. It has to do with trying to change the mindset of the groupthink. And I think we have an opportunity. I think that Trump is a shill. Personally, I'm glad Hillary is probably going to go to jail. That is probably what's going to happen because she's been doing naughty. And now they're going to have some kind of, what is that called? Straw man. Yeah, there it is, Wicker Man. We're going to burn her at the stake. And if they don't, watch what happens to the UN next. I just, with Dubai pulling on Deutsche Bank, I think we're about to see the beginning of the end on about a number of things.
May I jump on the UN, Doc? The UN released. May I jump on the UN part?
Oh, yeah.
The UN released 2 weeks ago, Friday 2 weeks ago, a letter, a recommendation of the Subcommittee of Global Transportation. Vincent had heads up on that a week prior to that from the European side, what they already decided and what kind of legislation they put in place. Now, the UN has the climate agenda with what they plan not only to introduce, but now bring into action the green government where the environment will be the guidance for creating new laws for us all. Because we are the bad ones. If you're pooping into your backyard, into a hole, no, that's bad. You shouldn't do that. So this is something that has been prepared for the last 25, 30 years, and now comes into absolute full swing. Right now, as we speak, 192 nations are meeting in Marrakesh, Morocco, including that they invited global corporations and NGOs and how to transfer what they planned last, what the results of the presentation of last Friday was, how they want to have the transition going on. So we're talking about application now. And the application has already been signed on with the Paris Treaty, with all the governments, bringing in the new green guidelines to reduce the CO2 and methane gas for 40%, what is the end of the internal combustion engine. and the end of would be the end of coal, and the end of a couple of other things that like cows. Cows would come to an end. The industrial cow farming would come to an end. Right now,
I wonder what a white hat, or what they call the White Dragon Society, is about, as opposed to the Rothschilds. And there is. I spent a weekend down in Anaheim with Entrepreneur of the Year. They had me do a workshop, and these guys, he was Vietnamese, he's a billionaire, and they are spiritual. I found no...
Rick, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're going to a break. Doc Ram's with us, docram.com. Miles is joining us from Europe. Doc Ram, you were talking about a presentation you were giving in California. Did you want to continue?
Well, I met some very interesting people, and the reason I'm mentioning this is that this guy, I don't know how old he is, maybe in his early 40s, had 4 skyscrapers in a quad. He owns them all, and has 11 corporations, and is a billionaire. And basically has no heirs, was a true seeker, wanting spiritual direction. And he has a tribe, and they want to turn the estates, something done in Anaheim, something like that, into a kibbutzim. And it's interesting to realize I've met some very wealthy people. I mean, really wealthy. And these people, all of them, were spiritual. They're looking for love in all the wrong places, doing ayahuasca and things of that nature. But I did that too when I was young, trying to understand what was not seen, but was present. And there's something else going on here. And I mentioned White Dragon. I don't know what it is, except that right now BLM has given all the Oregon forest to China, and they gave a Class 1 uranium mine to Russia. And we're being divvied up. This city of Grants Pass is 50% of the property. It's Chinese. They don't live there.
Rick, it's not just that. Volvo is now owned by a Chinese holding corporation.
There's a war, and that's right. There's a war between the yuan and the dollar, and or whatever comes up next, the Z dollar or whatever. The thing is, I remember when I was at Ithaca, and they had the Cornell, and they had the Ithaca dollar. And the idea was, when I was a grad student, for so many hours I work on campus, I was given a chip that I could spend anywhere in town for clothing, books, rent, whatever, as the Ithaca dollar. And I am sensing that we're going to be seeing something like that begin to happen everywhere. And I don't know how the Bitcoin works. I don't know anything about finance. David Morgan and Morgan Report is a personal friend now, and I'm trying to glean, like I did with agriculture, I'm trying to study how this is all going to work, because none of things of currency and trade is real. What's real is labor. And everybody does something different, and predicated on your tribe, you have different ways of identifying who's going to do what, like the Aborigine and the mutant down under. That's nuts. But that concept of how they watch a child, and when it's a child, it determines what it's going to do to contribute to the tribe. And I think we're going to start seeing, going back to Cheers, and everybody knows your name. I think it's going to start like that.
I've got David Morgan's business card in my hand. He's going to be on with us tomorrow. Thank you very much for putting that together. Miles, I've got a question.
He's a very, very cool person. And Rich Sheben is another one that I met in your home, lives just down the street from him. Sheben's in Montana, but David's up in Spokane. And I remember Spokane when it was a small town, and now it's not only a city, they have gangs that run through the streets with Tech-9s. That's Spokane. And Coeur d'Alene, just across the border there, everything is changing. There's too many people.
Rick, hold that thought. Miles, we were talking this morning before the broadcast, and you called me, fear of Trump's protectionism. That's something that is in the European headlines, right?
Yeah, it's in the headlines, and we have NATO troops, 300,000 under DEFCON 2, awaiting orders from NATO, meaning from Washington, to maybe go to a what war.
Can you stay with us for hour number 2?
Just for short after, in the first segment. Okay.
Very good, very good. Doc Ram's going to be with us for the full hour. Miles is going to be with us for segment number 1 of hour number 2. Please don't touch that dial. So, fear of Trump's protectionism. That's something that's pretty important because he mentioned 25% import duties that he wants to establish in the United States. That'll have a dramatic effect on jobs. We'll be right back. Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Doc Ram's with us, and Miles is with us for segment number 1. He was with us during the first hour of this broadcast. And I had a question for Miles as we were leaving the first hour. And that is a fear, and these are European headlines, fear of Trump's protectionism. And I mentioned that I remember hearing Donald Trump talking about import duties of 25% for those products coming into the United States. Miles, is that what you're talking about, fear of protectionism?
That's a part of it. Mm-hmm. The bigger part of that is protectionism of all values, meaning family values, how you interact with each other, how America was when he was in the 40s and 50s. He's now 70 years old. So protectionism is not only the economical guidance that he wants to provide with the import taxes, which will have deep implications, because look around when you go into the cities. What do you see? It's the last time I've been to the United States. It's probably 7-8 months, and I didn't see very many people that have been. I could not see somebody who could work in a foundry. Most of them have been overweight. So production, if you want to get production going again in the traditional businesses like car production, machinery, that requires heavy physical work. There's no supplement or surrogate for that in AI right now. It is, of course, as a prototype, but not as a serial production item that you can put somewhere and will do everything that you need. So the problem that you will face is that America can rise again, but out of deeper misery than you are right now. Because everybody has been entitled to sit at home and have the EBT cards. And in order to change that, you need drastic change. And probably the downfall of the economy will help other people's butts moving again. Vince?
Mm-hmm. And I remember looking at some images of Germany during World War II, and physical fitness was really, really stressed to get the machinery working, to build whatever was being built, the cars, the weapons, and so forth, everything. And physical fitness was paramount. As a matter of fact, I have a loose leaf binder filled with photographs of the Mercedes plant during World War II, and these black and white photographs even show calisthenics. They even show the milk delivery to the factory to make sure that everyone was as fit and trim as possible. At least that was my impression looking at these photographs. So we're not ready for that. I mean, I happened to be at the Chinese factory outlet yesterday picking up some lubricants for the farm equipment, and I could see that we're not ready. We're not ready, exactly as you have said.
I wish you all good luck in training your snowflakes in doing something productive than running around in the streets and wreaking havoc because their voice has not been heard.
Well, as I mentioned, our daughter works in a university, and she said they are crying like babies. The people that she's surrounded by, those who work in the university, are crying like babies over this election. And I think those must be what you're talking about, those kind of snowflakes And this is in the Commonwealth of Virginia that we're talking about. That's where the university is. So another a headline is that Silicon Valley is in upheaval, and we have similar headlines here that Silicon Valley is very concerned, and that would be the technology center of the United States, or at least one of them, maybe the largest. Why are they in upheaval? Because maybe we're going to be doing less spying? Is that what you think? Or what do you think, Miles?
For 2 days now, after the election, our media are running wild and painting the worst picture of President-elect Donald Trump. That whenever he comes in, that the entire global economy will suffer, that our interaction as humans will suffer. He's the Antichrist, and to put the blame on everybody. Even Angela Merkel had the, she was calling Trump, and she told him under what conditions they would have a good relationship. She know who she's working for and who he is working for. So she was very cocky. And Silicon Valley is dependent on purchases of government, of technology from government, and the development of new tools and gadgets that then can go into as a second phase into the public sector, or into the private sector for you as a consumer. These things might change, and depending on what kind of influence Trump will have on the Elon Musks of Silicon Valley. But right now, there's a sheer panic, and all the entrepreneurs that founded corporations from Europe over there, they were running their mouth that they fear Donald Trump and what's coming down the pike for them.
And what about the Donald Trump-Putin issue? What are they saying about that? That they're best of friends?
Yes. So the news media are promoting that Donald Trump is the best friend of Putin and Erdogan. So Erdogan here being somebody who just had a coup in his own country that he self-promoted in order to have more powers with a country under martial law. France under martial law as well. So France and Germany are sticking pretty much together on their standpoints that Donald Trump is best friends with Uncle Vlad and with Uncle Erdogan, including the entire communist Chinese League, that they are preparing a coup for what Europe and America has all prepared for the good of humankind with a new green agenda. Vince?
And as you look at Angela Merkel, the media portrays her as doing very well. It doesn't seem that that's possible.
Angela Merkel is counting her days. She already bought a house in Paraguay right next to the Bushes, so the retirement plans are coming into fruition there. She could not, for her, it is being on the peak of her career as the longest-standing chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany. And so she's looking back on a career she had, and there's nothing more that she can or will achieve. She basically has carte blanche in what to say and what to do. She even if they bring more immigrants in here, she wouldn't care less about it.
Because she's leaving.
She's leaving.
Mm-hmm. And
the important thing right now that you need to watch for you and the listeners is NATO, 2 days prior to the elections, put 300,000 NATO troops in Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. This is the border to Russia. This is a little bit away, just a little bit away from Stalingrad. They put them under high alert. That would be DEFCON 2. 300,000 have to be deployable within 2 months. If you count the days, 72 days for the inauguration, so there might be surprises from Washington coming and put you under martial law and having no inauguration coming in with Donald Trump. That is a possibility that is still in the play right now. And that would mean that Hillary Clinton and Obama would be longer in office than expected.
Yeah, so I guess the word to the class is all is not well, and we need to stay vigilant and pay attention to what is happening on that scene. So, but there aren't many news articles about that, Miles. I mean, I saw one. You sent me a link to that, but that's pretty much it. I haven't seen much about the NATO troops. It's kind of quiet.
No, it's not quite for us here. I have been personally invited to join the brass again with an upgrade in rank and payment, including all the benefits for retirement and the full 9 yards. So you might perceive it as there is nothing going on, but that doesn't mean that there is nothing going on.
That's what I'm saying. We would perceive it as that. And Miles, did you decide to go with that invitation, or can you not say?
Hell no. I'm too old for games like that. When Uncle Vlad has kind of interesting tools in his workshop. They have tools that you even don't need to send a team out to dig for my bones when something happens, because they would evaporate so hot they are. So it makes no sense in taking a deal where you know that the outcome on that would not be beneficial for you. This would be something for somebody in the 20s who still is full of idealism, and that whatever they need to do, it's good for the country, and a little bit star-spangled view on everything, but not for me as a little bit more grown up now.
Miles, you mentioned on this broadcast, and you mentioned to me off the air as well, that if we need it, we ought to get it now. Are those still your feelings?
It's not a feeling. Look at what the dollar lost after the election, after the final count. Mm-hmm. The dollar went down, gold went up, euro was rising. So you have inflation starting to appear now on a daily base. And right now it's the best time to get something, because it will not be cheaper ever in your lifetime under the U.S. Federal Reserve note. You can go in other currencies such as Bitcoin, but you need to start to do your due diligence and your homeworks on that, because it's better to have it and not need it than need it and then not have it. And let me tell you, many people will simply cry for what they could have done in their perspective of wealth with the Bitcoins. I give you a personal example. I was starting to look at Bitcoins when one Bitcoin was $5. Right now it's at 720. If I would have bought $1,000 in worth of Bitcoins, I would have retired today. With that, I'll let you go.
Miles,
thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Miles, thank you so much for your insight, your opinions, and for educating our class. And thank you for calling in from Europe. Miles, thank you again. Rick and I will be right back after these few short commercial announcements. Class Doc Ram's with us, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. If you want to go to his website, docram.com, DOCRAM.com. And I just called all of our listen lines. There are about 5 of them. And I just called all the numbers, and not one of them is working. Not the GCN lines, the 3 of those, not the Republic Broadcasting line, not the TalkStream Live line. So none of those is working. So we're working on getting those fixed. And if you want to listen to us, GCNlive.com. If you want the up-to-the-minute live broadcast, GCNlive.com. And for those of you interested in topping off your supplies, firearm supplies, November 12 and 13. Where can you go? Jackson, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee. RKshows.com. Those are the RK gun shows, the ones that we recommend that you go to. And there are many of them, typically per weekend. So that's it for the gun show. Rick, I went to the list of Skull and Bones members, and George W. Bush and his father were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale University founded 1832. And until 1971, the organization published annual membership rosters, and they were kept in Yale University's library. And and they call themselves Bonesmen, Bonesmen, and so we don't know exactly who the current members are since they don't publish it. However, there are some notable people, like in the 1830s, there was a guy named William Henry Washington. He's a U.S. congressman from North Carolina. John Wallace Houston, Secretary of State of Delaware. And I mean, the list goes on. Henry Champion Deming, U.S. representative from Connecticut. That's in the 1930s. And then and then there's a U.S. representative from Georgia. His name is Owen. It's the 1930s. You go into the 1940s, and you find John Andrew Peters, U.S. representative from Maine. And then you have Dwight Foster in the 1840s. Dwight Foster, he was Attorney General, Massachusetts, and you keep going on, and you get to, let me go in the 1890s. I'm moving on up to I just saw a Bush. George Herbert Walker Jr. He was the financier and co-founder of the New York Mets, uncle to George Herbert Walker Bush, and that was in the 1920s. We'll move on to the 1930s. We have Lyman Spitzer, a theoretical physicist, and the namesake of the NASA Spitzer Space Telescope. And we go on to, J. Richardson Dilworth. He's in the Rockefeller family. Keep going on to the 1940s, 1950s. Evan Galbraith, ambassador to France. So there are a bunch of people who are notables who have membership in Skull and Bones. And in the 1960s, we have, we certainly have John Kerry. He's a member of Skull and Bones. And then both Presidents Bush, George W., the grandson of Prescott Bush and son of George H.W. Bush, he's one. So what are these secret societies, especially Skull and Bones? Do you have a thought, Rick?
Yeah, how about Tennessee Ernie Ford being part of the Bohemian Grove? Didn't know that, did you? And there's a bunch of others. These agencies, these clubs, they're like golf clubs, except that there's a requirement for entrance. And that the bones part is when you have to do something. And that is predicated on intellect, predicated on abilities. One thing to be very knowledgeable, it's another to be able to put it into right action in the universe.
Can we put George W. in the same sentence with intellect? Is that possible?
Well, John Belushi comes to mind in Animal House. That's his character. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm looking at Austin. Doc Rams with us. So, Richard Allen Miller. We were talking about Skull and Bones, and I've got, in the 1980s to present, that's the last list that we have access to. Dana Milbank, political reporter for the Washington Post, is a member. Austin Goolsbee, staff director and chief economist of President Barack Obama's Economic Recovery and Advisory Board. He's a member of Skull and Bones. And Monica Crane, physician and leading expert in frontotemporal dementia. Now, that's a subject that comes up a lot. Dementia, Alzheimer's, forgetfulness. Who doesn't have it, right? So, obviously I'm thinking they're giving it to us. They're providing dementia for our pleasure, right? Rick, what?
I don't know how to respond to any of this. I mean, really, man, it's a bunch of Ku Klux Klan doing a rodent coil like whirling dervish marching like Ohio. It's crazy. And they think that this is going to work, and there's a small club of magicians that have had enough. And that's what's about to happen. It's out of control. And the problem I'm worried about is that there's a curveball like they did to Hillary. Aliens. They're going to do that next. They're going to do that next. That's how it's going to play.
When I see the term skull and bones, when I think of bones, I think of skeletons. I think of death. Most bones come from the dead. I mean, I'm sure a finger can be chopped off or a leg can be chopped off, and you could still have a living being, and the bones removed. But I don't think that's what they're talking about. What?
No, and Horatio comes to mind, holding that skull and talking to the dead. The idea of metaphor and how it's sympathetic magic, being able to do something that has a translation into other dimensions because of metaphor. Now, that's what the whole thing is about, and now we're down to it with algorithms and how they interface in the processes of making something work, like changing the world. I'm about to unleash the Kraken.
Tell us what you mean.
Yeah, well, how about poltergeist? Grace Thorne is a personal friend of mine, and she's having a problem. I'm using this as a metaphor. She has a problem. There's an Alabama tick in her house, probably because something happened with the original house that burnt down and people died. They don't know. There's a phenomena. What is phenomena? It is something that's impregnated into the matter of space and time that we currently inhabit. I remember when they found bank robbers by looking at the glass of the bank and being able to capture an infrared signature on the bankers, the robbers that were robbing the bank. Everything is recording everything. And there will be a Nuremberg accountability. At the end of days, it's all going to get down to, intent, purpose, and, what you did that you knew was wrong.
Let me see if I've got this right. Are you talking about the glass holding the data, the image, of
yeah,
what
that's
happened?
right. Yeah, the heat signature from the bank robber next to the glass captured his image. They were able to identify him. Now that's just what we do. Imagine what AI does. And so there's another kind of invasion going on here that you don't get. And it's out of control because this process started with Rothschild, he wrote on the back of a napkin signature and called it good. I have a deep concern for the idea that we are all about to have a change happen. And everything, look, you have choices. Everything happens for a reason. Everything leads to something better. This means that this change is an opportunity to take this BS of the 1%ers battling the 2%ers, trying to kill each other off and dominate in a chessboard. It has to do with capitalism and the concept of those values, and it goes back to the church and missionaries and the whole thing about that. And you ought to see what they've done to Africa. You ought to see what they did to the Indian nation, Hopi, Navajo. I spent last night, I was at dinner with an old friend that used to work with the Navajo, and it's some missionaries where they started it. And if you don't think they don't train at Brigham Young, for example, Mormon thing, on how to speak Navajo code talk, so that they can go in and one-on-one. Now, this is I'm talking in circles. Most people won't get half of what I'm trying to say right now, but there is another war going on, and people like me have had enough. And watch what happens next. Zen Gardner is a typical thing. Most of the people listening, the so-called free thinkers, are being sold a bunch of goods. Nada. You're not any more aware. We're all, we never get out of it alive. There's a war going on, and I can't identify yet what the real problem is. It's not humankind, but somehow consorting. That's consorting with demons, consorting with, whatever. That concept. And I think we've got something else going on here. The false flag that will be risen en masse next month will be aliens. Watch it. And it's all this, like this new movie that's coming out, Arrival. And really, that's why Elon Musk and others are trying to figure a way out of this matrix, because it's like we're all trapped, even the people with money.
Rick, as you were talking
about that kind of thing,
as you were talking about that, I was thinking about what can we do, and I was thinking about our smart meter, and I mentioned that. Well, I mentioned that Mrs. Finelli was on the phone.
Oh man, smart like smart like her. Yeah.
Hear me out. So Mrs. Finelli was on the phone with the electric co-op, and I mentioned this yesterday, and she was telling them that our smart meter is not working, and they estimated our bill, and our bill estimate was twice what it should have been. And she got nowhere. She just got the party line. And I thought, wow, this is really awesome. Mrs. Finelli is taking the electric co-op on. And so I decided to come join forces with her. And so when she was done, I called and I explained to them that their AI, their algorithm is wrong. As a matter of fact, their estimate of the bill is twice what it should be, and I can prove it because I went out and read our meter and compared it to the bill and did the calculation, and based on that, they were trying to bill us for almost twice as much as what we should be billed for. And I explained to them that we're not going to pay it, no matter what. No matter what, we're not going to pay it. So I was very deliberate and very firm, but very polite. And I tried to have this woman who was on the phone explain to me her logic. And she really couldn't, because I'd say things like, well, I just read the meter and here's what it said. Don't believe me. Just ping the meter yourself and tell me what it says. And you'll see that I'm right. And so she couldn't ping the meter. So they're going to send somebody out. And they said they'd send somebody out. And I said, well, yeah, that's fine, but we'll have to make an appointment because I'm going to be here when this person comes out and I'm going to watch everything that goes on. And so what I'm saying is I told them that I absolutely will not pay their suggested amount. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pay what not their AI, what their program says we should pay as an estimated bill, because they can't read the meter electronically. And that's what was promised by these smart meters, that everything would be better with these smart meters. Well, it's not true. So they can't read the meter, so they double the bill and they expect us to pay for it. And they told us, well, we'll give you credit for it. And I said, I'm not paying somebody else's bill. I'm only paying our bill. Bottom line is a guy's coming out today at when it's convenient for us, not when it's convenient for them. When it's convenient for us. And I'm going to be with this person. I'm going to escort them on the property and I'm going to escort them off the property. And so I'll report exactly what happened. But the point I'm trying to make, Rick, is this 1%, actually 1/10 of 1% of us who are paying attention can actually make things happen. We can cause problems. And I am sure I shook up top management because I told them that depending on how this call goes, I may have to run for the board of directors of Laclede Electric Co-op again. And I said, that's probably the last thing that your management would want, but the membership would probably like that. They'd like it if I were representing them, but the management probably wouldn't like it because they'd have a heck of a time with me in the boardroom. Bottom line is, they're being very, very polite to us, and they're gonna do what we want, and we are not going to pay the bill that they recommended. We agreed on what I thought we should pay. And their management agreed to that. Not the amount that they wanted. About half of what they wanted. So the point is, yes, you can call these guys and you can be polite and you can take them down to, take them down off their high horse. And that's what we did. We fought the system and we won. So you can do it too, class. You can call them up and say no, 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 no. And here's why it's no. Does that make sense?
It's not only makes sense, it's reality. Walmart now is so fragile that less than 5% market shares, if people stop going to Walmart, 5% of you, it would fold.
Let's do it.
That's how their straw cards are stacked. They're in serious shape. We have a bad shape. We have an opportunity, and I'm walking away. And when I do, I'm going to mumble a few words from the old book of spells. Trust me.
Rick, when we come back, can you tell us about chemtrails and the relationship of chemtrails to blood types? Absolutely fascinating. And I don't think you'll hear this anyplace else. The relationship of chemtrails and blood types. We'll be right back. I'd like to thank our instructors and our class for putting us in the top 20 on TalkStream Live. Right now, we're in the top 20. Thank you so much, class. I'm quite humbled. And Rick, thank you. Of course, all of your hard work for all of the instructors. Chemtrails and blood type.
Well, yeah, nobody knows what's in them because there are so many different kinds of aerosols being used. And right now, I sent you a document that you can post if you think it's appropriate for your website. My ex-wife, Iona Miller, has written on the bloodlines of Europe for the CIA, and she has actually done some work with the current Comte Saint-Germain, and there are the bloodlines of Christ. They talk about it as Rh negative because he had blue eyes and he was not Jewish. He was. I think that it has to do with copper, and that is this fourth genome in our blood type, rhesus negative, is nobody knows where it came from. It is like literally. Just appeared out of nowhere. And there it is. Christ had it. And I am not certain what I am. I'm rhesus negative. I'm O negative. I am, that means I have an older form of digestion problems that require me to eat meat to get my enzymes correct. I can't just pull them out of beans and rice, like most AB positive things like that blood types can. That's an interesting study on blood types. Right now, everybody's got the rhesus negative in their genes. If it's a dominant, then you're like me. In many cases, you're an altruistic, spiritual seeker. And I'm not sure, but what they're trying to proliferate our bodies toxic. And I am a prime target, even over normal blood types. I'm O negative, and because of that, I'm more susceptible to some of these chemtrail things that are doing. I'm right now, I'm just getting over a serious flu-like thing that I had to really focus on so it didn't take me down to my knees. And this is happening. You talked about chemtrail, a cough, that kind of thing. You got to see what it's doing to the nature around me. And why is there no disclosure? I mean, it would seem like a simple thing that just say, well, we're doing it for global warming. How does that work? Well, we're trying to reflect the sunlight back off the earth so it doesn't absorb it, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe any of that because I watched them use lithium to control a city. They were practicing, just like they did with Jade Helm movements shake down the profiling accuracy of an AI being able to read an individual's character and read its lips. It's a new world out there. And I don't know what anything means, because that rhesus negative is obviously something that did not evolve here on Earth. And so, where'd it come from? Jesus Christ was rhesus negative. And here we are. He had white hair. I mean, he's white, and he had blue eyes. And that is the primary focus on that. Now, Germans have always been interested, the Thule Club, and the occult aspects. And I think we've been invaded by something. And we have a choice, and we have an opportunity. And I'm going to step up and try to make some changes.
Rick, can you tell us very quickly about the Mandela effect?
This is where you remember that E.T. says, I phone home, I want to phone home. Things change that you remember differently. Is that your memory confabulating? Or is there timeline changes because of time travel and or other kinds of things going on right now? The butterfly effect and the ripple effect was something I wrote about last month. This month I'll write about Mandela, and I'll send it to you. I'll finish it this week, and you can post it if you like. It's on time travel and the true nature of cavitation. I think there's something else going on.